Yo, let me add my brother Tracy. Get my brother Tracy on the live. Well, see his vibe, see what he on, see how he feeling.
What up, family?
Yo, 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 yo. I can't call it. Welcome to the All Done Podcast. I'm
I'm chilling,
Shakes.
man. It's
This is my
another
brother
wonderful
Tracy.
Wednesday here with
Tracy, how
my
you doing,
guy.
my
So
brother?
it's good to see you, my guy. It's good to see you as always.
Oh yeah. So for the people who watches us live, for the people that watch us live, keep in mind we are also recording our 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 audio as well. So just want to keep y'all to keep that in mind as we do this. So let's clap it up for that right there. So yeah, we record at the same
We
time. We
do it
do both
simultaneously. We do it
simultaneously, and we're just
simultaneously.
trying to get a feel for the thing. So
Yeah.
without taking,
That's a good.
yeah, we're
That's a
doing
good
both at
word.
the
Good job,
same
bro.
time. That's not a good word. What you trying to say?
You did it fantastic.
Oh,
You did a
because you made it
fantastic
sound
job.
like it wasn't a good
Continue.
word, and I'm just trying to see how what you want. Okay, well, yeah. So yeah, we record both at the same time. So and we just trying to get a feel for this thing, but that's neither here nor there. And let's not keep
A
Nessa
lot.
waiting. What's going on,
A
man?
lot.
What's going on in the
We
world?
do.
It's been
Mm-hmm.
it's been an interesting. We missed last week, but yeah, we missed last week. That's my fault again. Life be life, and we always say that. Everybody know I coach a women's full contact football team, and last week we had to prepare the helmets. We had to put decals on the helmets because we had our first game of the season this past Saturday. So I had to miss last Wednesday, but we here for y'all tonight.
Where can we
But yeah, what's
start?
going on in the
It's
world,
really
man? The world of
it's been
sports
a hell
is on
of a week.
fire. Yeah, so let's start with something a little lighter. LSU won the Natty in women's college basketball, and what would seem to be dope for real, it ended up turning into something else um, that it really shouldn't have been.
I
Her
mean, a
versus
lot of
her,
people in
and
the sports
you
world
want
was
you want
really
to
going crazy
take
about
over
this. It's
from
literally
there.
on every sports talk show that you could find. But I don't know, man. I didn't. How much of a deal to me? I mean, what transpired maybe after with the whole Joe Biden inviting Iowa to the
I
White
think
House? That was more interesting than the actual heat of battle competition gestures that took place. Wasn't really a big deal to me. What do you think?
the gestures. We both played sports. We both coach still. We both believe in competition
I've
and being the competitor.
done and
Sometimes
said a
you're
lot.
gonna
I've
do
done
and
and seen
say
a
things
lot
in the
worse.
heat of competition. It's just exactly. And my issue is like what they're trying to make it seem like it was, and then I don't think it's as deep. Like then you have what would you call the quote unquote race baiters, and saying, oh well, it was cool because when she did it because she was
What did you
white,
call them? What
but
did you call them?
when Angel Reese did it, oh she's ghetto,
Who's the
blah blah
race
blah.
baiters again? Give me the.
The race baiters. I think
Okay, no, no,
I
no,
think there's a
no,
lot of
no. I don't
people
think it's that
looking for
deep, but
something deeper
make
than
no
it is.
mistake. From a societal standpoint, oh, it matters that one of them were black and one of them were white. That this is America. That absolutely plays a part.
Yeah, but in the sports world, I'm speaking of in the sports world. Anybody that follows sports or closely, they're like, you. When Skip Bayless say, "Oh well, no, it's just
All right, but
part
the
of the
sports world's a
game,"
very small
that's how you
piece. I
know in
think this
the
was a
sports world
women's
it's not a
national
big deal.
championship that, if I'm not mistaken, was viewed more than a lot of other women's national championships over the last couple of years.
I want to say they said it was viewed more than
Okay, so
the one
I mean,
like
for
the
us to be in the
highest viewed
country that we're
NBA
in
game
under
this
the set
season
of
or something
rules
like
that we're
that.
under, I mean, there's a racial element because this is America. Not necessarily because there's a racial element, but because there's two competitors, one is
Yeah,
black and one is white, and there are people who are going to have a problem with the way, people of a certain hue handle situations, no matter what sport, industry, profession we're looking into. So while we in the sports world who care about athletics and understand the spirit of competition probably are like, whatever, this is nothing. Nah, there's some people out there who probably took it personal.
now, yeah, that's true. But now, to get into what my brother was saying about the invite. All right, so usually when you win some type of championship at different levels, you're invited to the White House to
See,
celebrate
what
what
is
it's a
let's see.
national
The comment is
championship. So the
sports
president,
are
gives
diverse.
his
Why
nod
is
to you or
race
whatever.
in the
But
conversation? Well, I'll let my brother finish his thought, but it's a very simple answer. All right.
I was, you know what? I seen that and I wasn't ignoring the comment. I was going to come back to it because it was going to dive into something we were talking about. We were going to talk about later. But anyway, yeah. So yeah. With why? Oh yeah. So they go to the White House. So usually, a team win the national or the NBA championship, MLB, they get invited to the White House. And in my lifetime, or not that I recall, the losing team has never been invited to the White House as well. Whereas Jill Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, invited both teams. Said, "I think both teams should
I
come to the
mean,
White House for
it's
celebration."
simple. I think it
So,
goes
what's your
back
thoughts on
into
that?
the racial aspect, and I've seen a lot of people online bring this up, but I think for those of us living in this skin with this complexion, I mean, it's obvious that yeah, I don't think if the roles were reversed, that LSU would have got an invite. And I mean, at this point, I don't know why people are so up in arms. Again, I think you got to get away from the emotional. Like, this is the game that is being played. You got to learn the game and adapt. You can't be in your feelings talking about, oh my God, why on earth would she invite the losing team? You know why. You confused about that? For real?
Yeah, but well, I'm gonna give a little pushback, and I'm gonna say maybe she's seeing the divide that it's causing with their actions, and said, well,
So you believe
let's
you
bring them
believe
both
that, or
in,
you
show us
just
no
making
bad
those
blood, this,
allegations?
that, and the third.
Okay, yeah. So I'm sure some people
I'm just
do
playing
believe that, and for those
devil's
individuals, I
advocate.
would
Nobody's seen
say
that.
it's funny that when the people who came out on top happen to look like me and you, now it's time to bridge gaps and worry about unification and
Mm-hmm.
not dividing. When really it's sports. You're gonna have Iowa fans, you have people that are rooting for LSU. It was already a divide. Sports is a natural divide, it's competition. So I wouldn't understand you trying to conquer some sort of divide that's
Yeah.
intrinsic in competitive sports for those individuals who
We got a comment said nobody's seen
don't understand.
an athlete on TV until OJ. Yeah. I'm not understanding what that means. Do you mean like celebrity like they were
I don't know
big as
how we got
far
to
as
OJ
promotions and
from the
stuff?
women's
Because he was
national
big in that world,
championship.
and
Shout out to the shout out to shut that's
we was talking about white
I
women.
don't I'm
Got to
pretty
mention
sure he was
OJ.
acquitted. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he was acquitted of
Not
those
you,
rings and those crimes.
I didn't
Okay, all right.
listen. I didn't
OJ is
say
not the
he.
only.
I
We know
listen. I
OJ is
just
not
said
the
we were
only
talking about
athlete
a
with a white
white
woman.
woman.
So let's.
We
When you
got to
say that to
mention
say what?
OJ.
He was. He was no, absolutely
I
not.
mean, he was like the first.
Absolutely not even close. Not even close. From the okay, top. I'll give you that. He's top five.
Tomato,
I'll give you
tomato.
that.
He's
OJ's
top
top
five.
five. Top five.
No, of course he wasn't the first person to be in an interracial relationship. But yeah, we'll wait for that comment to load up and we'll circle back to that. But yeah, so
I
shout
love
out. What you think
that
about
young lady, man. I
Miss
think
Reese
she's standing on her square. She's,
response to it?
as we like to say all the time, when you start to ask people and people are curious about, well, what does on code mean? Sister's on code. She not really backing down. It ain't no apologies. She's speaking her mind, and I stand with that sister. She's solid. From all accounts, she seems solid.
Okay, y'all said y'all never seen a losing team get invited to the
That's
White House.
not
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
There's been
Y'all
athletes
never
on
seen an
TV long
athlete on
before
TV until
black
OJ.
athletes. Yeah. And I don't understand the context.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the context
I don't
anyway,
know.
right?
I
Because
don't really. History
OJ,
is changing every
those
day.
teams that lost, they weren't
Yeah, that's
invited to
why.
the White
Yeah.
House. So I don't. It's a very
Like, I'm
stupid conversation for us to be having, but some people like to play naivete and act like, oh my God, is it so bad that Jill Biden would invite the losing team to the championship? And oh no, it has no bearing the fact that the losing team was all Caucasian. That has nothing to do with it. She just thought it was a great game. What's the last? I'm sure Jill Biden, that's probably the first women's basketball game she's watched all year. I'd be willing to bet on it.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure
Like
what
I
she
said,
does in her
I'm not
downtime
going to
and
get in
who
the
she roots
weeds
for,
about with
or
Jill
nothing,
Biden about
nothing like
why she
that.
chose
So
to
yeah.
invite a losing team to the White House. And I'm not about to get into those also who are like, oh, well, no, it's
Shout
for
out
unity.
to Ms. Reese who said, "Yeah, nah,
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
good.
she
We don't
kept it
have to go.
real. She kept it
Tell
real.
her
Yeah,
we'll
she
go
said
see the
something
Obamas."
to that effect. And I respect, like I said,
What
I
you say?
respect her position. From every interview I've seen since this whole thing jumped off, she's been solid and on code, as we talk about often. And so when you're looking for an example, there you go.
Yeah. Shout out to her. Shout out to her. Yeah. So with that being said, when speaking of former presidents, she said she's going to go see the
I
Obamas.
don't know, man. I
What's
think
going
the
on with
fact
our
that
former president
we
Donald
have to
Trump?
address him as
What's
former
up?
president. I mean, for all y'all people who always are talking about, oh, we've come so far. We've come so far. A few short years ago, Donald J. Trump was the president of the country. And so I'm not going to be able to jump on the bandwagon of we've come so far, because if there are people, and it's not like it was like, okay, he got in for 4 years and then people realized like, oh no, this was a bad idea. Like, no, let's run it back. It was good enough and we should run it back. We're going to run it back. And so it's a complex situation at this point.
But now,
I think it was interesting. I think Boosie pointed out there's no mugshot. So I think there's a lot of interesting things going on with the Trump situation. But I mean, he's going to run to be a president. So
I will say this. I feel iffy about like 50-50 on the situation. So, of course, I think he should be held accountable for any actions or whatever that was against the law. But I also feel us as supposedly a superpower in the world, how it makes us look to other
that's an
countries
interesting
that our
perspective.
former president is going to the bench.
Except that we've always been the United States reality show, from Watergate scandals to assassinated presidents to civil rights movements. And come on, man, the rest of the world already looks at us like, oh wow, the West kind of gives it up a little crazy. The West gives it up a little crazy. So it's not. I don't know if that.
Yeah,
I don't know if people
wild
are like, oh
over there.
man, they had a president that now they're trying to put in jail. Like, bro, come on, that's the least of our atrocities.
Nah, I think that looks crazy.
I mean, he was
though. That to
president.
me,
He was the
because
president. That
that
already
looks
looked
crazy.
crazy.
And
He
it's
was
like,
the president of the United
you
States. That
know, what
already. We're past the line.
that's what somebody else said.
I don't know how
I
50-50 I am. I think it's interesting now because, again, and for all those people who are saying, like, shut up, or they don't want to hear the Trump supporters, I love the Trump supporters. I love that it gives everybody, just when y'all start to try to throw that progression rock in our face, it's like, oh, we've progressed. Shut up, we've progressed. Now you get to hear white people tell you that Donald J. Trump is the new Nelson Mandela. And Jesus. So please, continue to tell me how much we've progressed and we've come so far. I mean, I'm not sure.
I meant to share
I don't
that.
know. I didn't bother because once you compare.
But what's her name? I can't even think of her name right now. She's somebody popular. She's very political. I just can't think of her name right now. I'll circle back and post it to our page a little bit later. But she was doing an interview and she said a lot of great people went to jail. Nelson Mandela, Jesus Christ. She compared Donald Trump to Nelson Mandela and Jesus Christ, and that by far was one of the funniest clips I've seen. Like when you see somebody grasping
Would
at
Hope
straws,
say something? Would Hope say something to the
trying
effect that that's like
figure it out,
the tallest midget,
that's a perfect,
or the tallest person in the class full of midgets? It's like one of those ridiculous feats. Like, bro, that's just not something that you were striving for right now. No one practically thinks that Donald Trump is, and I also see people comparing him to Tupac. All types of wild comparisons.
Oh, so
apparently, man.
President Donald J. is thug life, huh?
There's a reason we don't get into Donald J. Trump that much on this podcast because I think we don't like to address the obvious. And I mean, obviously, the man has serious issues, and we as a country have serious issues because we not only put him in office, but seek to do it again. So.
So one thing I make sure, not make sure, one thing I'm going to address is something, it's personal, it's something I do personally. I made sure when he was in office to call him President Trump, and I make sure now to call him former President Donald Trump or whatever. Whatever the case may be, I do that for a reason. And the reason is, no, not at all, actually. Not at all. I have trolling moments, but I'm not really a troll. Like I like to spark conversation, but no. The reason I do it is because when former President Barack Obama was in office, they refused to acknowledge him as President Obama, and we know what I mean when I say that. They refused to acknowledge him in that manner, and and my thing is, this is the highest office in our country. And because a person of color is in office, you have no respect for the office now. Whether you agree with him as the president or not, he is still your commander in chief. So, 2 years ago, you guys would die if somebody didn't respect the office. But now that there's a person of color in the office, he's this, he's that, everything but a child of God. So I can't say I have an issue with you guys with people doing that, and then I turn around and do the same thing because I don't like the president in office currently. So I make it a conscious decision or conscious choice or conscious effort to say, President Trump or former President Trump.
That's a fair.
I know that's not your vibe.
You're a saint for that, but I think it's important, especially in these times, to let people know, stand up vehemently against things that are wrong. And so I'm not a big politician, so I really don't care about the whole respect for the office. I think the office maybe at one point stood on some of the things that you were talking about, and it had a certain level of prestige. But, after the whole Monica Lewinsky thing and, the whole electing Donald Trump and running on a white supremacist platform, so some of these things have kind of taken a little bit of the shine away from the office.
No, absolutely. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. But like I said, I can't tell you what you're wrong for doing this.
Not the same thing because
of this.
While I am,
and
not,
then I do the
people
same
who
thing.
know me know I'm not the biggest Obama fan, right? I'm not a soapboxing for Obama, but the man was presidential. You give him that.
Yeah, we know.
He was presidential as
Yeah.
a president. And I can at least
At the
respect
very
that.
least, he carried
But the
himself as a
few
president.
presidents before that, George W. and Trump, and even going back to Clinton, they had a certain level of, how do I put this, edge to themselves, man. It was
I don't give a shit.
a certain level of edge. But again,
They
I
had a
think
certain level of
I would love to hold the highest title in the land with a certain level of prestige. It's just, they're taking over Capitol building. I can't keep it straight, man. It's hard. It's hard to keep it straight. You're president. You're emboldened.
I mean, how does that happen? I'm still. It don't matter how did they allow?
I'll tell you how.
I can't walk home and drop my wallet and be
and those same
be
people,
okay.
Many of them are now getting out of jail from serving whatever quote unquote sentences that they had to serve. And so that's the country we live in. And so again, I just like to throw it up in people's faces because people are so always quick to be like, oh, not more race. Like, bro, you think I want it to be like this? I don't. I have no interest. I have a small child. I have nieces and nephews, people I care about that are young, that are going to grow up in this world. I hate that it has to be this way. But I'm not going to turn a blind eye and just act like this man didn't tell a white supremacist group to stand up and stand by or whatever phraseology he chose to use. That was your president, emboldened white supremacist groups who eventually stormed the Capitol with the help, conjecture, just my conjecture, with the help of law enforcement agencies. The more you study it, the more you realize, like, nah, these Tom, Dick, and Harrys didn't just, this is a secure building. They had help, right? They got videos and agents letting them in, and it's a whole big, it's a whole big thing that I think a lot of people
giving them a
kind
tour.
of swept it under the rug. We talked about it for a few months, but for the magnitude of what happened under his leadership and control, we really didn't get into that too much. That story didn't stick. Didn't feel like it stuck as long as maybe it should
have. I agree wholeheartedly.
Killed
Kind of
people.
just like, it happened. We got it under control.
No problem.
It's fine. Moving right along, because like I said, we don't have much to say about the former president. It is what it is. A note from my local life. I know we made national news here in Jackson on our water situation. We've done that, but it's safe to say for the most part, or not even the most part, but for a while, we can put that on hold because we have nobody to come around and collect our trash. And currently, like, my trash hasn't been collected this week or starting at the end of last week. And it started with, remember I mentioned it before, they were fighting about it and blah blah blah. Yeah. Okay. Well, the emergency contract ended on April 1st, and
just didn't.
And that happened to be a trash day for me, and wasn't collected. It just didn't come. I mean, I wouldn't work without a contract, so I don't blame the trash company. And then I seen the news today how they were fighting about who's gonna collect the trash, how we're gonna get this done. And shout out to some local businesses. I know one of the bar and grills nearby, M-Bar, the radio station, which was the 97.7, the Beat of the Capitol. And it was another company. They're going around. They have pickup trucks with trailers on them, and they're going to pick up trash for. They're picking up.
Why does your state just?
There's other local businesses,
and again, it's not to make it racial, but this is America, predominantly black place, right? For the most part, a lot of black people live in Mississippi. Yeah. So you say the whole state?
Jackson is predominantly black. That's one thing you got to remember. Jackson is predominantly black.
Yeah, so that's a predominantly black place.
No, this is just Jackson.
Yeah. It just always seems something, right? In these little black pockets around the country, there's always just something. I mean, I'm not going to put the tinfoil kufi on. That's not for me.
Yeah, and especially... No. There's no need for those tinfoil kufi. It's kind of hard to get certain things done because this should never happen in a capital city. Jackson's the capital city of Mississippi, and this should never happen in anyone's capital city. But when you have a certain type of governor who's not willing to work with, the local
I'm not really
offices
going to pass on that one. Because
a city,
the
then
governor, it's the infrastructure.
We're giving who a pass?
Yeah, but I'm not blaming because it ain't. I don't know.
He's not getting a pass. I blame him.
When it's time to help us, or when it's time for us to get something done, there's always a blame deflection. But when you see these billion-dollar corporations, or when you see some of these places need a bailout, it's snap my fingers and we're good. We got it done. But for us, it's always, well, the governor don't know how to communicate with the alderman, Gilliam, and then if he gets reelected, then yeah, maybe he could go talk to the
Mace. I mean, no. See, you got to think right.
Right?
And I use the water crisis as an example. Mm-hmm. Well, no, listen. I use the water crisis as an example. When it was bad and it was making national news, the governor couldn't get out of here fast enough. Right? I believe Jackson got something like 800 million, maybe more from the federal government to fix the water system and the infrastructure. All of a sudden, the governor wants to. Oh well, no, we need to form a committee to make sure.
Money came in. He's ready to help y'all.
No, bro. That's not how it works, huh? Exactly.
Trash.
So now that there's no money involved in the garbage pickup, there's no way the government can't say nothing about that. That's a huge deal. So somebody actually took their trash and set it on the governor's mansion, which is hilarious. Like people joke about it. People say, "I'm gonna take my trash." Now I was on the news. Somebody had their trash bag on the steps. So that's a fact. But crazy part is I'm so far away from what I actually wanted to talk about tonight. My main topic. Well, yeah. And that's why I said one of the comments I was going to circle back to when it comes to sports, why does race matter? But I was having a conversation with somebody, and her point was we were talking about movies and stuff. And she was like, hey, well, I don't think a lot of these movies should be made just with black characters, like just for the sake of making it with black characters. So, of course, the obvious one is The Little Mermaid, where Ariel's black. She mentioned Death at a Funeral.
So you talk about remakes that change
Dr. Doolittle's another one.
To black
yeah, exactly. Or yeah. So what's your thoughts on that? Is it a necessity, or is it?
No,
are people being picked on their own merit, or are they just being picked on their black?
So let's just get that out the way. Whether they're being picked on merit or because they're black, all black people need a leg up because we have had a bit of a traumatic start. So either way, it's fine. Secondly, I think it's important, but it gets back into this whole representation matters thing that we talk about all the time, right? Representation matters. And it's cool. It's cool.
Does it not?
Yeah, of course it
doesn't matter. You say it's cool. Does it matter or doesn't it matter?
We had this conversation surrounding the Ketanji Brown Supreme Court situation. And is it good? Is it somewhat positive? Sure. But right. if the person that's representing is like, oh well, we're gonna give the job to Coon Man, I don't want Sambo and Sons to represent me. Right? So the representation in that case is like, well, that's not helping us at all. It's actually probably hurting us, if anything.
But that's saying it matters. So you can't go, representation matters with only skin color, but no, it matters what you can bring to the table. No, I'm agreeing with you.
When we get and I know it's because in us we got the soul, we're extra, something about us that we gotta take this shit over the top. It can't just be like, oh, Ketanji Brown, great, congratulations. It's always gotta be like, oh, Ketanji Brown, she's gonna be the savior, and this is what the little girls need to see. Like, you putting a lot of extras on it. You don't even know if she's you don't even know if she's about the community the way y'all are celebrating. Same thing with Kamala, right? Like, I don't even want to get into it, but y'all understand what I'm saying. Those who get it, get it.
So, but when it comes to this entertainment stuff, like I said, movies and things like that, do you what's your like? I feel like it does matter. It's important for our little girls and little boys to see, yeah, like I want to. I can't remember which one of my parents it is, or it might not even be my parents. It's somebody in my family though, but they didn't believe in buying, Barbie dolls or dolls
I get it.
that weren't
I get it.
of our color. You feel me? They didn't like nah. Like if you're gonna buy her doll, it needs to be a little black doll, this, that, and the third. And I think that was my first. And I might have not understood it at the time, and it had nothing to do with me because I didn't play with dolls. There's nothing wrong with a little boy if he plays with dolls. I'm just saying I didn't. So I want to throw that disclaimer out
know if
there.
I
It's
agree with
clear.
that.
Sometimes you gotta clear things up.
Talk your talk.
Keep yourself out of trouble.
Yeah, another conversation.
Wait,
Okay, another conversation.
that's another conversation. I'm just saying that's not my stance on it. But yeah, anyway. And but that was my first piece of representation matters. Like, it did. So when it comes to these movies and stuff, like Little Mermaid, that's a dope one. I believe she got the role just based on her
Like I
talent.
said,
I don't
cool
think that was she's black, she got to get the role.
Here's what's more important, right? So people
know
how
exactly.
turned out for the first Wakanda, first Black Panther movie. While the representation of that was big for a lot of kids, who made the money off that, right? That's Disney. That ain't us. We don't own that company, right? So we came out, supported it in a huge way, and yeah, the representation was cool, but the focus, while representation is cool, as I've said, the focus, we have to shift it to owning something and then having the right people represent us, right? And I think that's where we're getting to now is everyone can't represent us. And that brings us to a good little segue. NLE Chopper was in the news for having young Black women buy their wigs as if they were animals of some sort. And people were up in arms about this. So when we talk about representation, there's some. You're being represented in entertainment. What's the problem?
I seen that, and I seen a bunch of different people comment back and forth on it. I feel like it's entertainment. I feel like same thing with Nelly in the tip drill video when he swiped the card.
You can't say it's entertainment, and then right, because that's not the representation you would like your daughter to. You wouldn't want her to aspire to that level of entertainment. I'm pretty sure, knowing
you. No, but like currently now,
yeah, I
they
don't
might
know
throw around and bark and say I'm a dog. It's a kid. Like that wasn't the point of that, and I think, and the crazy part about that is,
cool. Listen,
I have no. It wasn't even my idea.
In the
it was their
representation,
idea, which is
it's not that big. It's cool, but it's not that big of a deal because I think it's important if you're going to teach kids and teach the community about certain stuff. No, it's fine. Those are entertainers, and if they hoes or strippers, I don't hoe hate. I've never been a hoe hater. So if that's what you do, young lady, to get your bills paid in this current system. Hey, I'm not here to knock that. Do we also is there some balance that needs to come to the flip side, right? And I think NLE Chopper's video with the young ladies doing what they were doing, and then the flip side of the content is some conversational stuff on the ADP Live. Like, you got to have a balance. There's got to be a duality to the ratchetness.
Yeah. I mean, and I think. I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, you also gotta take into consideration what is he saying in the song, because it's not like he's singing about damn.
I don't know what the song.
What song is it?
I don't know what song it was, but
I mean, it depends on the song, in the context of the song.
But yeah, I
don't know if we could play the song on the live. They take stuff down for stuff like that.
The point is,
I don't think that lends to my representation matters or or speaking to whether we
That
should
is
remake these
representation, though.
movies or not.
That is
Because
a
I'm gonna
lot
be
of people
honest,
seen the
so
video.
here's
That
my
is
point.
representation.
Well, not
Mm-hmm.
not even my point. Excuse me. Not even my point. That's not what I'm saying. Is what if we get Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, and a few other people of a different hue to come back and do Boys in the Hood or Juice or something like that.
No, that's not.
How do you
Honestly,
feel about that? So should we just leave these
kill it.
movies alone? Should we get our
They
own
can come
ideas?
back and kill it. They can remake that and kill it.
I mean, let's who's some of the younger actors now? Zac Efron, Justin
I
Bieber,
think
stuff like
for
that.
me,
They
for the
come
most
do
part,
Juice
and this is what I
or
would say
Menace
to
to
people who are
Society.
complaining about entertainment and what you see from that realm, we got other stuff to worry about, right? So if I don't want a certain type of content in my life, I steer clear from it. I'm not here to judge every piece of content. This is the internet era. There's content everywhere. You got that big swole dude that be dancing. You know what I'm saying? you got that big swole dude that be dancing. Is that for me? Is that how I think our people should be necessarily represented? Maybe not, but is it putting money in that man's pocket? Is it maybe making a couple people laugh? Sure. Is it something that I would subscribe to and put a stamp on and be like, yo, y'all support? Probably not, but it's not. I'm not gonna go out of my way to be like, tear it down, because it's not. If I had conversations with my homies, we would address it and be like, this is not the way we're gonna carry ourselves. But you can't save everybody, and so I'm not chasing every coonish piece of content on the internet because I'd be here forever. It's impossible. Right, so you gotta, again, it's all about the balance. We could have Big Groove and the dude that be bucking his eyes eating that chicken. We could have that. That's fine, and if people like that, that's great. But I would encourage you, go out there and listen to some other brothers that's giving the other side of the game as well.
So
I didn't really like
Armageddon with a full black cast, you're going to see.
I like the first one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't really my two. That wasn't my film.
Yeah, man.
You seen Armageddon? You wouldn't watch that? We were young when Armageddon. Yeah, we were really young.
Did I? Yeah, we were young. I don't think I went to see it, but I've watched it a few times and I love it. I watch it.
Again, if they were to do the remake with Idris Elba, would I be cool with that? Sure. Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Entertainment is entertainment. No big deal.
Some on my apps. I'm talking about. Hey, listen. Directors, producers, all that. Tyler Perry. Make us an Armageddon with a full black cast.
Your representation in entertainment apparently absolutely matters. What else is going on in the world? You seen the stuff about Monique?
You sent it to me. I've been busy at work lately,
and I think it goes into this realm of
go
conversation.
into
Talk
it.
about entertainment.
I
Monique
think
is pretty much the headline is Monique opens up about secretly desiring to be intimate with women and telling her husband about it. And so people were up in arms about this woman having fantasies about being intimate with another woman and telling her husband. You got an issue with that being your representation? You don't care? Me neither. See that? You see how that representation doesn't matter at all? Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I mean, that's a personal thing. That ain't got nothing to do with how we're looked at as a people, or if we choose to steal art from somebody else. She
now, if you want to get into it, I respect her a lot because she told her husband.
No problem with that.
If there's any lesson in a real nonsensical story, that's the lesson. She told her husband straight up, like, listen, mama sometimes gets a little hungry for milk, and I might have to go to the store. And I respect that for her. I really do. I don't know, man. It was on the internet. What else you got for me?
Okay. It was definitely on. It was on Beyonce's internet, but I don't care. Something like that. I don't care. It was something else recently though that I wanted to address, but it's slipping my mind now. Like you sent me a lot of stuff this week.
My man got
a.
they
Missed
talking
a
about
week,
people
but you
taking
sent
the
a lot of
checks
stuff. I'm
away,
gonna do
talking
better
about
next week
entertainment,
about writing it
people
down.
having to pay for their fame moving forward on our Twitter.
Oh. I mean, once again, famous people are still gonna be famous. Check or no check. People still gonna follow their pages. Now I
Something
did see
to
something
that
where they
effect.
said
I
they're gonna
don't
stop paying
understand
people for
the
content
grasp
creators.
of that story.
Um,
I don't.
Kevin Gates
You
knew.
already know how that goes. It's probably
I didn't. We
something real
didn't. I didn't hear
reckless.
about that. What's going on with Kevin Gates? But the grasp of what the content. Real. Yeah. I mean, that dude's funny. But now, yeah, I'm not sure how it's gonna work with them not paying content creators, and if they're not paying content creators,
Yeah, but the audience.
I don't know what we're striving for going on IG Live. So y'all might want to just catch us.
We don't build our
Yeah,
real
y'all might just want to catch
shit
the.
anyway. But the point would
You get
be,
what I'm
if
saying?
you're a content creator, I mean, I guess it's bad. I don't know what the real bag looks like. But as long as you got an audience of 10, 12, 15,000 people that you can sell stuff to, you'll be fine.
Speaking of that's what
I
I was
heard
gonna say.
about
You
something
heard
like
about the
that. Yeah, what was
YouTuber
the
that was
story?
shot in Florida? Yeah, he was. See, all right. So listen, playing stupid games wins you stupid prizes, and he was trying to, for his, content creator, for his
Oh yeah, I did
content,
see
he was
that.
trying to
Yep,
play a
yep,
prank on
yep,
somebody and
yep,
got shot him.
yep.
Um, yeah, I don't know what the prank was. I didn't watch the video. I try not to watch videos like that
Well,
and
that's
things
the
like
world.
that.
That's the
So
world you're
I
gonna
didn't watch
live
the
in
video, but
because they got guns.
whatever it was.
That's
Yeah,
what we
bro.
didn't talk about
You
last
know,
week because we weren't here. Speaking of people getting killed, there was a mass shooting again last week. Six children were killed.
yeah, a young woman and she was like 28,
I think it
something
was.
like
I mean, I've
that.
seen a lot of things. Her
But didn't she
parents
blame
and
it on
that
something
she had some
like,
sexual identity things going on that her parents didn't accept. But I've read a lot of different. The point is, again, for all my gun nuts out there, I don't know if you guys have an answer to this one, but just killed children with an assault rifle. Yeah.
the response to it is crazy. It was some politician that was on some like, well, we're not going to change gun legislation, because
It's a
that's not going to stop
refusal
bad
from
people from doing
certain
bad things. Something like that.
individuals who
Like,
are
bro,
put in
what you
leadership
want?
positions to even consider altering gun laws. It's not even like we can't have a real conversation about it because they shut it down from the jump. Like, no, there's no room to even reevaluate this at all, even though children are dying.
And I'm not. So I seen a post where a lady said, she's like, oh, well, she's like, listen, we're not trying to change your gun rights. What we're saying is you don't need
I don't know if that's what I'm
fully
saying as far
automatic
as tweaking
weapons to be
legislation, but I
sold in
think
the
it's
streets
definitely the conversation we
because
need to have. I'm talking about the rigor in which it takes to get one of those guns. So I'm not saying because I don't trust our government.
exactly,
So
but that's the point. Yeah,
if their
exactly.
stance, and some of them are just trolling us, but some of them I'm sure truly believe that I don't want to live in a government-run state because I don't trust my government to not come and do something foul to me where I have to defend myself against my government. That's kind of their take and why they feel like they need automatic weapons. I don't know how far I am or how close I am to that.
That's where the law. That's where the laws initially come from. But now
You
it's just
trust your
people like,
government?
because I can. I mean, no. But these people that say that, a
I'm
lot
just
of them don't
saying
have
that
anything
I
to worry about. They
understand
got the
that
right people.
viewpoint for all Americans, but I'm not going to just be like, you can walk into any store at pretty much any age and be like, okay, here we go. Because Kyle Rittenhouse is another example. His mother got him that rifle, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like we need need to, where I would say, in my assessment, the rigor just needs to be picked up. I'm not saying you can't have your guns, but the difficulty in which it, and the screening process needs to be much more rigorous than it currently is.
I'm trying, and I'm really, procrastinating because I want to see this Kevin Gates
something.
with Mr. Gates.
He was hooked up with a transsexual or something, or he ate a transsexual's box. I think that's the story for real, though. No joke. No, not to be explicit, but I think that's the story. The story is Kevin Gates. Apparently, they were saying he ate or had fellatio with a reconstructed transsexual. And people are calling him gay for it.
Okay. I believe it was. I believe it may have been gay. It may have been somebody else who said, "I'm a man who enjoys the company of all women, including women that used to be men." I mean, so like, listen. The only way that's an issue is if you're in Uganda, Kevin. So once again, that's not my call. That's not for me to judge. But this is like, who's shocked? That's really the question. Like, who's shocked that Kevin? Like, if anybody did that in the rap world,
2023, sexuality is a spectrum, man. If you like it, I love it.
This is the same person who. It is funny. It's like an episode of ATL when
She's
he was
over
in
here
jail.
with the dudes.
Yo, that's my girl.
Yeah.
Why she over here with the dudes? But now, like I said, if anybody, yeah, and Kevin Gates, like, didn't he, wasn't he like dating or married his cousin or something? So instead, we was already intimate while we stopping. So I'm not shocked, bro. We
trying to harass him again. It's the celebrity culture. I think people it's a slow news week, so people need something to talk about. I'm not worried about that man's sexuality or what he's
trying to get their comments
with his mouth or his genitals. It's none of my business.
As long as everybody, that's a woman. That person identifies as a woman.
Player in this situation,
it's a woman.
More power to you. Thanks. Wrap it up, man. What we got? Wrap it up. I mean, really, that got to do with me. Wrap it up. How you gonna end this, man?
Man, I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna go back to the whole representation matters thing. I'm gonna wrap it up on that. It does. Especially to our children, they need to see us in certain lights and things like that. They need to understand that we can be great. We can do great things. People used to say all the time that all we're gonna do is give a ball or rap or something like that. But I need to see people represented. I like to see us. Yeah, exactly. So I like to see us represented in different ways other than that. Yes, we can be doctors, lawyers, even the president, stuff like that. So representation in certain movies with the family element does matter. I don't think we need to remake every movie that had a predominantly white cast with a predominantly black cast. We don't need to do that, but we do need to create some space for ourselves.
I would agree, and I would agree
on
the whole LSU and people trying to say it's not a race thing. You live in America. Stop lying to yourself. And on that note, this podcast is all done. See y'all next week.